Hey everyone, Joan here. Going to take a look at this item, this little object here, in Project Lead the Way's Introduction to Engineering Design. And I'm in lesson 1.2.5, Sketches, Extrusions, and Revolutions. Oh my. I'm going to take a look at this. 1.2.5. And we will make this in Fusion 360. So follow along if you want to see how to use the revolve tool and then an extrude feature, followed by a fillet feature, and finally at the bottom we will chamfer this bottom edge so we get this little angle down here. And we'll save it in Fusion 360. So I'm going to shrink this. It's in 1.2.5, and I'm just going to follow their specific instructions, even though there's many ways to approach the creation of this. So I'm in 1.2.5. I'm in step 5. I'm looking at the picture, the multi-view drawing with the dimensions. And in step A, it says to sketch a 20 millimeter by 30 millimeter rectangle on the XY plane. So first you want to make sure that you are in millimeters, which is right here. You can change that here, or you can change it under your name in the top right, preferences. A little window will come up. And then you want to change down on the bottom left here, default units. In the design mode, you can change to whatever you're using. We are using millimeters. So I will click cancel. I'm already in millimeters. I believe that if you have changed, you will need to be in a new sketch in order for it to take effect. So I created a new sketch. I click this block here, and I'm choosing which plane to go on. The suggestions in the lesson say to choose the XY plane, and I can see that X is the red and Y is the green. And if I'm not sure, I can look over here on the view cube that shows me X is to the right, Y is up, and then Z is to the left there. So I'm going to click right here. Once I click it, it'll go away, and I will work on that plane. I'm going to use the hand tool, or the pan tool, P-A-N, to grab. It lets you move your file around so you can move it anywhere you want without interacting with your actual object. Hit escape on my keyboard to get out of that. And it says to sketch a 20 millimeter by 30 millimeter rectangle. So I'm going to come up here to the create feature. And if you've used it recently, you'll see it on the top. If you have not used it in a while, you just click create, drop down, and we're just looking for a simple 2-point rectangle. I'm going to start on the origin. When I hover over it, it's blue. I'm going to drag to the right. If I use the tab key on my keyboard, left on your keyboard, tab, it lets you toggle in between the dimensions. You'll see that they're highlighting blue. So I'm going to put 30 on the side there, and I'm going to hit tab and hit 20 over here. If you know you're in millimeters, you don't have to type mm, it will know that for you. If you're in inches and you forgot to change, you type in 30 mm and it will put it in the inches version of 30 millimeters, so it still works. Okay, so I've got my rectangle. Make it a little closer. I want to come up to the top right side and finish the sketch, and that way we can make the revolve. So rectangle, 30 by 20, finish the sketch, click the green check mark. Now I want to come up to the top here, and I'm looking for revolve. It's right on the top here. If you've been using something else recently, you might have something else up there. You can always drop down the create menu and see revolve. If you're not seeing these, it means you probably have to finish your sketch. So revolve. It's already selected my profile. It's pre-selected. So you see the blue on the right here is an axis. So I'm just going to click my Y-axis and let it wrap around there. If I hit the home button, I can see this a little better on an angle. I'm going to undo that so you can see it again. Undo is right up here. It's your friend. Hit revolve. It already has my profile selected, or my rectangle. And now I'm in axis. I don't have to click anything except the Y-axis, and it goes around. I click OK. All done. So now I am on, that was step C. I'm going to go to step D, which says to sketch a 10mm square centered on the top of the cylinder. So I'm going to go right on top here. I don't have to move anything. I'm going to right click and create a sketch. So it'll bring the top of the cylinder right in front of me and center it beautifully so I can work with it. An easy way to do a centered square is to go to the Create menu up in the top left, look for rectangle. A square can be a rectangle, just the same size, right? And we're going to hit the center rectangle. So it's in the drop-down menu. And what this does, when you click on it, you go to the center of where you want to be, and you drag in any direction. And it will make you a rectangle that's based on the center. And I'm just going to type 10. I'm going to tab and hit 10 again, so I make a nice square. So 10 by 10, I use the centered rectangle feature. So that was it for step D. Step E says finish the sketch. So top right corner, click the green check mark, and you see you now have a nice little square on top of your cylinder. Let's extrude this square. There's two ways to do this. You can use the extrude feature up here or in the drop down. Or if you see the letter here, that means you can use this on your keyboard. So I can hit E on my keyboard and it automatically knows it wants to extrude. So up to you, hit extrude or hit E on your keyboard. When you're in the extrude feature, you'll see this display box pop up. You need to select your profile. So you'll want to select out here, you want to select inside your square. Select the square. You could drag up and place it where you want, or you can type in 15mm as it says in step F. 15 and OK. So far, so good. So now we are getting into step G. It says to add a 5mm fillet to the edges between the rectangular prism and the cylinder. So I'm going to come over here to the Modify tools. It's right up here. I'm going to drop down and find fillet. You can also press F on your keyboard. Now you can do this all at once or individually. It's already on select, as you see in the display box. The blue is highlighted. So I'm going to go ahead and select just a little space in between. So not the whole face, but just a little space. And I'm going to do 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully this will work. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you have to do them individually. And it says 5mm. So over on the display box, I'm going to type 5. And I can already see that it's filling out nicely. So I'll go ahead and hit enter. And if I use the orbit tool down on the bottom left here, and I can take a look at my feature and see like, okay, it has worked on all 4 sides at once. I'm going to hit the home, the little house on the button, to put it back in a nice isometric view back to where I can see it from the beginning. Okay, so I clicked OK. We're all done there. And now we're going to look at step H. They want us to add a 5mm by 30° chamfer to the bottom of the cylinder. So we did a fillet, which makes a nice curved surface in between 2 flat solid places. Now we're going to add a chamfer. This is a little fun. So we had fillet up here. We're going to come to Modify and scroll down to chamfer. Chamfer leaves they show you a little illustration here, a nice little sliced edge there. So we're going to hit chamfer. Now in step H, it asks us to add millimeters and degree. So distance and degree. Not equal, not to, but distance and angle. So we drop down over here in the display box. And it says to select the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and select the bottom edge. You'll see the oval shape pop up as you hover. So you can pick any edge, but I'm going to do the bottom. And I'm going to change my distance to 5 and my degree to 30 in the display box right there. There's also a marking menu that flies around with you. You can use also. So I'm going to click OK, 5 and 30. And I'm all done. I'm going to use the orbit tool to take a look at my work. So see what it did to the edge there. It's not flat anymore. It's pretty nifty. And that is all you need to do. If you want to save it, I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard. Come up to the top left, File, Save, And this is 1.2.5, and I don't know its name, so I'll call it cheap. Save it in your own folder, and you are good. Thanks for watching.